Now that we have some of the history behind Lasting Legacy Park, let's take a look at the continuing evolution of the memorial.
Several years ago, about 4 or 5 now, Mayor's Art Council, which DB was on at that time, brought in a piece from Ben Foster, United We Stand. And the city and the county saw it and were just absolutely blown away. They said, that's Gillette, Wyoming. And they both were looking at possibly buying it. And then they tried to look, see if they could do it together. And then the ideas were flying all over the place at that point in time. And we said, really, this should be a community project. And it came out that from Gary Wolberg called me and came in my office and he sat down and he said, what about doing bricks for our veterans? And I said, whoop, there's a way to get to buying the United We Stand and making it a community project. So I ran that out, the idea out and into the community, and I was getting enormous feedback about emails saying, well, we want to participate. And in that same time, DB got a hold of me. She had seen it or heard about it and said, I'm already doing something. And I said, well, okay. And then she said, you got to come out to Conestoga School, which I did. And I let DB take what she did out there, which was really a cool idea. And this is the kind of the idea she was trying to do, is get something that we could do in Gillette, but didn't have the avenue to get there. So why don't you talk about what you had done out there at the school years earlier?
We started with the idea of honoring veterans from our students and our faculty. And we developed what became known as the Hallway of Heroes. And around our library, which is in a big U shape, you could buy a plaque that had the name of your veteran and anything you wanted to put on it in 3 lines. And then we also, the school district allowed us to drill holes around in the railing, and then we put American flags by all of the plaques. And it's still an ongoing project out at Conestoga. And I said, my original idea was I wanted something in Gillette, but I didn't know how to do something that big. So I started with Richard Landreth, actually. He's a veteran, his help out at Conestoga. And we did our Hallway of Heroes, and you came to see it, and then we took that idea on into Bricks for Vets.
Yeah, so the idea came out from the community, and then I started getting calls and seeing the different things that other citizens had done, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. This town has been behind veterans as long as I've lived here in the 20-some years. And it makes me very proud, because I'm a Vietnam vet, and I can tell you when I came back, I wasn't proud. I was pretty dismayed, and I threw my uniform up in the attic, and that's where it was. But this community it makes all our veterans that live here very, very proud. And this was just another way to show our appreciation to the veterans. And we already had the wall, so when Gary came in, Wahlberg came in, and he said, where are we going to put the bricks? And I said, there's only one place. And that idea actually started from one of the county commissioners said that he thought the only place for the statues to go is down at Lasting Legacy Park. And that was Roy Edwards. And during one of our meetings, and I said, that's a great idea. So with that idea and some of the things that the citizens have come back and some of the memorials I've seen around town, there's several others, but this one really was the right idea. And so then I got a hold of Brian Purnell, and he was the Legion commander, and thought I'd bring in the VFW and the Legion, which I would belong to both. And that's when we formed our first meeting, was over at the Sheriff's Department. And that's when Brian helped, and Donnell Nichols got in there, and DB and Gary, we didn't care. Citizens were part of this community, are part of this whole committee. And it's just taken off from there. And Brian, why did you see it was a good idea, I guess?
Well, I mean, we needed more recognition for the veterans in our community, I thought, and this is one way to do it. They had talked about putting the bricks on the ground, and then we come up with this idea through DV with putting them up to where you don't step on them and the ground don't heave. So we decided to build pedestals for them, and then also for the statues. And it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, and that was quite a process because every committee member really had great ideas. We gelled them together, worked on it. We did not want it on the ground because if you go in Lasting Legacy Park, there is some remnants of somebody trying to do that back in the 90s and 80s, and the bricks are all broke and they're heaved up. And we said, no, we don't want that. We want to do it in granite. We want to put it on a pedestal. And the ideas just kept flowing, and of course, all those ideas, dollars.
Yeah.
And that was scaring us about 4 or 5, where we're going to get all the money. And we came up with the price of the bricks, which now, is, once we formed that 5 years ago almost, we came up with $110 for a 4x8 brick and $250 for an 8x8 brick. And put a lot of time and effort in how the bricks are going to lay out. Now, because 4 or 5 years later, we have the Gillette Wild hockey team gave us a chunk of money that they raised last year of about $6,000 that we put into a fund to buy for veterans that can't afford a brick, or a fallen veteran that the family can't afford a brick, at the funeral homes or at the hospice house. This thing has been evolving in the last 4 years to a really unique type aspect that is going to continue for many, many years. So we just recently, in fact, our meeting last night, decided that we're not going to charge that extra $10. So it's either going to be $100 a brick, and for the $250 brick, which we were keeping that $10 and that $50, putting it aside to buy bricks for people that couldn't afford it. Now we're going to drop the 10 and the 50 because we have that fund. Now they're going to be $100 for the 4x8 and $200 for the 8x8, which I think is a great idea. We looked at it at the beginning also on where to put it, how to put it. I know that Ben Foster's piece is such a unique piece, and I'd like to have Dee Bee go a little further than that because she was on the Marion Art Council, and kind of explain what that piece is and what it was, because it was about 100, and I thought it was 120. I think it was only about 105 or 106 that was the original price, but Ben dropped it down to 60,000, and I'll let you talk about the piece a little bit.
The piece is called United We Stand, and it's on 4 different pedestals. It's a family with the grandparents and the children and the mother and daddy. And they are all standing. We've got them in a semicircle, looking with their hand over their heart, saluting the American flag that we have on our war memorial. It just signified what we feel like the Powder River Basin and Gillette feel about their veterans and the people who have served in the armed forces in our community. The war memorial that is originally there was for fallen vets, and we wanted something to recognize all veterans that have served, and that was the premise. That was our baseline for our Bricks for Vets. And when we say bricks, they're not really bricks. We started with a brick idea, but they've ended up being marble plaques that are engraved on permanently. So we say Bricks for Vets, but we're marble plaques for vets. Very, very nice looking. So the pedestal that the statues are on, the pedestal part is where we put the plaques all around. And we have lots of room left for more plaques. We have lots of vets that we know that we haven't gotten their names on yet. And that's our emphasis now. Let's get all the vets in the Powder River Basin on a plaque there at Lasting Legacy Park.
So we have people buying bricks that might have 9 names on it. You could do that. And they are from all over the country. It's a family brick, and it puts all their uncles and aunts, and they could be from anywhere. And then they just put the service and the flag on it, and it's actually a piece of granite we get from Home Depot. They donate, we got an allocation every quarter. And Don and Donnell Nichols lasers those for us and do just a brilliant job. It's really nice. It's long. It's going to be longevity, long lasting. And again, Ben Foster didn't stop just there, because we went out and because we were having funding problems at the beginning, of course. We're all standing around how we're going to fund this. We got great ideas, but funding is always an issue. So we went out and did fundraisers. We did parades, but boxes all over town in different places, like City Hall or wherever, for people to donate. They could buy a brick, of course. People just actually wrote us checks to help us. Then we went out and did, went out for grants. That was an interesting process. I did 2 of them and got both of them. And the last one was with the Martin Keating Foundation, who has an outpatient here and in Sheridan. Does a great job for our veterans, the Martin Keating Foundation. And they gave us $30,000, but it's matching $30,000. So we went in front of the county commissioners and the city council, and they gave us matching dollars of $15,000 each to match that so we could pay for United We Stand. Now, United We Stand is paid for, but you still got to put up the pedestals, you still got to do all the concrete. The concrete in that area had never had rebar in it. So it was caving and falling and sagging, so we went in and replaced all that, which was a big chunk of money, where the contractors came in and helped us there. They donated their time, materials, and labor, reduced labor cost, which helped us a lot. And the lighting was just $20,000 just to put the lighting into the concrete. That's just one number alone. And Mickey Schulberger, who is one of our county commissioners, donated his time and effort to put design and help put the pedestals in. We had to have an engineering study. We've been through a lot. We had to get into a nonprofit. So we had to, again, Brian and myself went, and you can go over how we got to the American Legion.
Went through the American Legion, and they have a tax-free number, and so we went to them and asked, if they would allow us to use it. So we were part of the American Legion as a tax-free entity, so, and that helped us a lot.
If we didn't have that, we couldn't have gotten the grants.
Right.
You have to be a nonprofit.
And it costs, I think it's pretty spendy to get a tax-free number.
And time consuming.
And time consuming if you do it on your own. So we used the Legion, and we want to thank them for that.
So this whole puzzle is a lot of parts that get to where we are today. And when you go down and look at what we have, I think it's one of the nicest Veterans Park in the state of Wyoming. And it's because of our committee and the volunteerism of the community and our government officials who stepped right in and helped us all the way through. This couldn't happen without the whole community behind it.